Better Together with Maria, your life improvement series.
The first is sensory deprivation tanks or float tanks. So you go into, for people who don't understand what this is, they proliferated, they're all around the country. You go, you pay for a fee, like a little spa visit, and you go into a tank that's filled with like 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt. It's exactly the same temperature as your skin. And you go in there and you float because of all the salt, and it's completely dark, it's completely silent, and you're floating in water that's the same temperature of your skin. It can trigger some claustrophobia for sure.
You're floating, terrified. In the dark, terrified.
But that would be the place for you to work on it, because you know what? You get terrified there, push open the door. The light comes in, you can step out, you can come in, you can float with a little bit of light coming in. You really have the ability, like the terror, at any moment you can say, okay, I'm done. Right? And that's a great way to practice, where if you're in a 5-hour ayahuasca journey and you're like, oh shit, I'm terrified, I want out of here. Good luck. You buckle up. You got another 5 hours to go. There's nothing you can do, right? So that's where the situations get really hard. So a great way to practice is with the float tank, because you go in there, you surrender. And if you actually allow the experience to go forward, instead of feeling claustrophobic like you're in this tank, you feel like you're in boundless space. And you will actually many times start to see different visions. And as your mind, your default mode network goes offline and your brain waves drop from beta, which is always analyzing and looking, into alpha, which is more in the zone, clear thinking, then into theta, which is that deep meditative restful state, perhaps even all the way down into delta, which is normally typically dream state. You start to get in these states where you have access to this waking, dreaming consciousness, which is a great way to start. And also, if you are scared, a great way to do it, because there's no lasting effect. You end the experience at any moment. And that gives you this sense of confidence that, all right, I'm doing this. And regardless, it's going to be healthy for you. At the very least, you get an Epsom salt bath. Good for your muscles. The magnesium absorbs through the skin. You're going to feel better at the end of this, right? Like, there's nothing to lose other than, your $50 or whatever it costs to go in there. If you just go in, dip your toes, and you're like, I'm out. Yes, you may lose $50, but if you actually go with the experience, it can be incredibly valuable and a great way to practice. So that's step one.
Kev, didn't you do that once?
I did.
Did you like it?
I did.
Okay. All right. Second one, Aubrey.
Second one, which takes you deeper, would be shamanic breathing. So Stan Groff came up with a method called holotropic breathing, which is very kind of, it's a little bit more structured, but the general category is called shamanic breathing. And this is a series of deep breaths. And this is something that's often best done guided as well. So you find a shamanic breathing practitioner or shamanic breathing experience. There's a great one out in Sedona. The person who taught me how to hold this ritual, her name is Anahata, and she runs shamangelic healing, she calls it, and she offers this incredible breath work. And there's many people who do, and you start breathing deeply. Now, I have to say, when I first did this, it was 11 years ago or so. I was already 10 years into psychedelic medicine, and I was like, I'm gonna breathe. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, what am I even doing? And I had an incredibly powerful experience, because you go into this deep breathing, and then you hold your breath in these breath locks. And what you experience is this deep somatic release. All of these emotions you didn't even know you had stored up start to come out. And I've been a part of, dozens of these, and actually started to lead some of these experiences with the Fit for Service Fellowship and other different groups. And I'm always blown away at the power of the breath to actually unlock, really, particularly a lot of the stored emotions that are in the body. People shaking, people releasing anger, people releasing sadness and tears, and sometimes finding like deep peace and visions. So shamanic breathing would be the next step. And again, the beautiful part about shamanic breathing, you want the experience to end, just slow your breath down. That's it. Just slow your breath down and the experience is done. Like, you're absolutely in control with your foot on the gas or your foot on the brake. Foot on the gas, breathe deeper, breathe faster. Foot on the brake, slow down your breathing. That's it. And that's a great way to learn. And also, has incredible depth to it. So I would recommend that as a second step. And then the third practice would be ecstatic dance. And this is another one of the great practices that I've really, really enjoyed.
Did you say ecstatic dance?
Correct.
Okay, what is that?
So if you look around the world, almost every indigenous culture has dance rituals. The sun dance, all the drum circles, all the fire dances, all of these different experiences. And the idea is that when you're dancing, you can create a state called superfluidity, which is a type of flow state, where you collapse the mind and all there is there's music and then your body. And so there's music and movement, and you're not thinking about it, you're not judging it, because one of the big things that we have here in the West in particular is a lot of constriction and a lot of, like, we're not even if we're dancing by ourselves, we're judging how we're moving. It's hard for a lot of people, even in a dark room all by themselves, to play music and really move their body freely. But if you do that, not only does it release those patterns and those constrictions, but you can also get into this really trance-like meditative state. So there's ecstatic dance available all around the country. And I know for guys, this is like oftentimes, and many women as well, this is one of the scariest things to think about. But you go in there and the lights are low, and the idea is not to look at anybody. The idea is to have absolutely your own experience. This is not this is not a dance party. This is just you moving fluidly and freely. And actually, it gets ruined as soon as, and sometimes this happens, I have to acknowledge, in containers that are not held in the public ecstatic dances. Sometimes there'll be people that'll try to dance with you, and you just politely kind of, shut it down and stay in your own zone, because this is about you just moving to music. But really, you can do this on your own. If you put together a playlist and you actually just start moving. Now, it's better when it's guided, when there's, instructions. And this is one of the things that I lead. And I like to bring people through a journey, whether it's the hero's journey or whether it's a movement through the energy centers of the body, finding different ways that you can kind of move and feel emotions. But again, it's another way to release stored emotions. You can go through visualizations once you get in that super fluidity, in that state where all there is music and movement and your mind is quiet. And then you can have really powerful visions. I've had some amazing visions from that. And again, at any point, you can just lie down, sit down. If you don't want to dance anymore, don't dance anymore. But ultimately, if you just dance for that, your body's going to feel great. You're going to get movement. You're going to break through these kind of patterns of restriction. It's just a win, 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 win all the way. All of these practices are like, there's nothing about them. At the end of the day, either you're just getting Epsom salt, you're getting a bunch of oxygen into your blood, which is going to alkalize your blood and actually invigorate your body, and you're getting dance and movement. Like, you have nothing to lose. It's only just your own apprehension and your own resistance that you just have to push through, but it's going to be a win no matter what. So I would start with those three experiences, and then that's kind of like the baseline. And if someone's done all three of those and they're like, okay, I'm ready to take it further, that's when we start talking about potential medicine journeys. And that's going to be different for everybody.